In the 17th year of the Chongzhen reign, 1644, the Ming emperor hanged himself at Meishan after the sacking of the capital Peking by the rebel army of Li Zicheng. Ming dynasty nearly ended, but did not. Armies were raised across the land. They fought to the death one after the other. The throne of the emperor was continuously occupied by royalties, and Ming loyalists spread their message far and wide. After the fall of mainland China, in the 15th year of the Yongli reign, 1661, Koxinga recovered Taiwan and carried on the Ming dynasty in a remote corner of China. In the 37th year of the Yongli reign, corresponding to the 22nd year of the Kangxi reign, or 1683, Taiwan surrendered to the Qing dynasty. 39 years after the suicide of Emperor Chongzhen, Ming dynasty did end, in a way not. The rectitude, scholarship, literature, and arts of the Ming loyalists dominated the early decades of the Qing dynasty. Whenever later generations refer to any worthy moral conduct, scholarship, and arts in early Qing, Ming loyalists are always cited as exemplars. Failing to recover the occupied land, the Ming loyalists harnessed the name of another prominent loyalist, Huang-yen, as founder of an underground organization to keep the memory of Ming dynasty alive, known as Heaven and Earth Society. Their goal was to patiently explore future opportunities to bring down the Qing dynasty. When Dr. Sun Yat-sen, father of the Republic of China, toppled the Qing dynasty in 1912, he relied substantially on the still intact Heaven and Earth Society. His contemporary revolutionary Ping-ling wrote an introduction to the works of Huang-yen. His words are, "I was born 240 years after Mr. Zhang. Those who Mr. Zhang opposed and combated are now getting weaker, yet the distinction between foreigners and Chinese, the abomination from 9 generations, the endearment towards one's own race, are however blurred in China. For those who have read Mr. Zhang's writings and still condone growing old with the foreign barbarians, they are certainly inhuman." 200 years from then, the Ming loyalists could still instigate the demise of Qing dynasty from the world beyond. Ming dynasty had long ended, yet somehow not. Inkworks and relics from the Ming loyalists are dearly treasured by later generations, for those with moral integrity are few since time immemorial. While those with moral integrity are hard to find in our contemporary world, they can be found in history. A historic relic, small it may be, carries the loyalist spirit, braving through the turmoils and upheavals of history. Even though the loyalist spirit is encountered in smoldering ashes, later generations can still recognize that there is indeed righteous spirit in the world. There's an inkstone carved by the Ming loyalist Huang Tsung-yen in my collection. The sides of the inkstone was engraved with a poem by Chiang Shih-chieh, and the box cover was engraved with a poem by Mei Ch'ing. This inkstone encompasses the writings of 3 late Ming and early Qing artists, a truly inspirational piece. The top of the inkstone, around the water reservoir, was carved with squirrels and grapes. There are 3 squirrels resting and roving on the branches, and a spider hanging from the tree. The back of the inkstone was fully carved with squirrels and grapes. There are a total of 5 squirrels resting and roving on the branches, and another hanging spider. Squirrels and grapes is an auspicious symbol popular in the Ming and Qing dynasties to bless a family with multitudinous children and grandchildren. The body of the spider resembles the word happiness, so a hanging spider signifies happiness descending from heaven. Altogether, this is an inkstone that symbolizes good fortune. Huang Tsung-yen incised a few lines in clerical script at the bottom. The words are, "In 魁伟 year of the Chongzhen reign, Tsung-yen carved this for Mr. He Jian at White Cloud Manor." 2 personal seals were incised, Huang, Hui Mu. 1 collector's seal was incised, Treasure of Yuan Gong. Yuan Gong was the hull of Mei Ch'ing. In late Ming, the 3 Huang of eastern Zhejiang provinces were renowned throughout the country. They are Huang Tsung-yen, Hao Lizhou, born in 1610 and died in 1695. The younger brother Huang Tsung-yen, Hao Hui-mu, born in 1616 and died in 1686, and cousin Huang Zhonghui, Hao Zewang, born in 1618 and died in 1663. They were natives of Yuyao of Zhejiang province. Huang Zunsu, the father of Huang Zunxi and Huang Tsung-yen, attained the Jingsi degree in the 44th year of the Wanli reign, 1616. He was known to be a man of integrity. In his position of imperial censor, he impeached the powerful eunuch Wei Zhongxian. He was later framed and died in jail. The 3 Huang all studied under the eminent Confucian scholar Liu Zhongzhou, born in 1578 and died in 1645, a native of Sanying in Zhejiang province. Huang Tsung-yen, 字立熙, Hao Hui-mu, changed his hall to Zegu after the fall of Ming dynasty. Zegu is the name of Chinese francolin, a bird known to habitually fly southward. This is an allusion to his loyalty to the southern court of the Ming emperor. He was popularly called Mr. Zegu. He attained the Shu-chai degree in the 9th year of the Chongzhen reign, 1636, and was an acknowledged expert on the I Ching, also known as the Book of Changes. His works include Zhou Yi Xiang Ci in 31 volumes, Xun Men Yu Lun in 2 volumes, and Tu Su Bian Huo in 1 volume. Quan Zhuwang wrote the obituary of Mr. Zegu, recording in detail his life story. Some passages are extracted here. The first passage. In the Battle of Huajiang, Zhong-yen and his elder brother Zhongxi gathered all the male workers in their households, supplied them with spears to form a militia, and the females in the household were tasked to cook. They marched to Hao Ba to greet the regent. Elder brother Zhongxi then traveled south to Haicang, while Zhong-yen stayed in Ganshan to deal with logistics. Their militia was known as the Forever Loyal Militia. After their defeat, Zhong-yen fled into Siming Mountain along the footpaths and boulders. He joined Minister Feng as his aide-de-camp and traveled frequently among the garrisons. This passage depicts a military campaign directed by Huang Zhongxi and Huang Zhong-yen in the 1st year of the Longwu reign, or the 2nd year of the Shunzi reign according to the Qing dynasty, which corresponds to 1645, 1 year after the suicide of Emperor Chongzhen. The brothers escaped after their defeat by the Qing army. At the time, Huang Zhong-yen was 30 years old by Chinese reckoning. The second passage. In Genying year, the minister's army was crushed. Zhong-yen was caught. The minister's wife was actually Zhong-yen's mother-in-law. so he hid in her house first, but was found. He ended on death row. His elder brother Zhongxi traveled to Ying County from the east, plotting to save his life. His old friend Feng Daoji, son of Feng Yexian, was indignant and volunteered to take charge. Gao Danzong was assigned with planning, while Fang Zhenmu wanted to appeal to the general's headquarters. Daoji said, "Don't do it, there must be a way to escape death." On the day of his execution, Tsung-yen was taken out from his cell at nightfall. Another death row inmate followed. After reaching the execution ground, the torch was suddenly extinguished. In the dark, someone unknown rushed forward and carried Tsung-yen away. When the torch was reignited, they replaced Tsung-yen with another inmate. In the meantime, they had traveled 10 miles in the night. They rested for a while and eventually entered a chamber. It was a chamber in the White Cloud Manor that belonged to Wan Tai, also known as Wan Lu'an from the Ministry of Revenue. The person who carried Tsung-yen was Wan Si-cheng, son of Wan Tai. All the Ming loyalists in Ying County gathered to untie Tsung-yen and drank together to celebrate and reassure his startled soul. This passage depicts the demise of the army of Feng Jingdi in the 4th year of the Yongli reign, or the 7th year of the Sun Tzu reign, according to the Qing dynasty, which corresponds to 1650. Huang Tsung-yen was arrested and put on death row at the age of 35. His elder brother Huang Zongxi, friends Feng Daoji, Gao Danzong, and Fang Zhenmu plotted a daring scheme to seize Huang Tsung-yen, substituting him with another death row inmate and escaping into the night. Wan Si-cheng, son of the Ming loyalist Wan Tai, carried Huang Tsung-yen on his back and ran all the way to White Cloud Manor, estate of his father. Wan Tai, also known as Wan Lu'an, was an intimate friend of both Huang Zongxi and Huang Tsung-yen. Prince Lu at one time appointed Wan Tai director of the Ministry of Revenue. Wan Tai used White Cloud Manor for study, which was located at Guanqiang'an village in the western side of Ningbo city. Later on, Huang Zongxi also used White Cloud Manor for teaching. Wan Tai had 8 sons, Wan Si-tung being one, who was lauded for his work, History of the Ming Dynasty. All the sons studied under Huang Zongxi, who chronicled his friendship with Wan Tai in the Record of Friendships. In Wan Tai's own anthology, Ssu-tung, there are 9 poems dedicated to Huang Tsung-yen, an indication of the depths of their friendships. One of the poems, also the last poem in the anthology, is titled Huang Hu Ying. Its epigraph says, "On 4th July in Genying year, Huang Tsung-yen set foot into the mountains and became a monk. He wrote to tell me, and I was depressed for days. Alas, men of honor have all fallen in this world. Tsung-yen is not dead because he still has expectations. Now, even though he is alive, he has offered himself to a monastic life. Alas, this heart of Tsung-yen, I know this heart." The year Genying is the 4th year of the Yongli reign, corresponding to the 7th year of the Sun Tzu reign, or 1650, 6 years after the martyrdom of Emperor Chongzhen. The last passage. In Bingsen year, Tsung-yen was captured again. His elder brother Zongxi sighed, he will certainly die. His old friends Zhu Zhanhou and Zhu Yaliu succeeded in saving him. However, Tsung-yen lost everything along the way. Afterwards, he made a living as a medical doctor, traveling between Haichang and Shimen. When this was not enough to make a living, he applied his knowledge of ancient seal script to engrave stone seals. When this was again not enough, he emulated the brushworks of Li Sixun and Zhao Bozhi to paint. When even this was not enough, he carved inkstones. His works were all priced for sale. He was known to have made a living from his artistic endeavors. This passage depicts the capture of Huang Tsung-yen in the 10th year of the Yongli reign, or the 13th year of the Shunzi reign, according to the Qing dynasty, which corresponds to 1656, 12th year after the suicide of Emperor Chongzhen. He was captured at the age of 41 and bribed his way to freedom. He then became totally impoverished. He made a living first as a medical doctor, then a seal engraver, then a painter, lastly an inkstone carver. This inkstone was carved by Huang Tsung-yen when he was a young man. The inscription by Huang Tsung-yen at the back of this inkstone is dated Gui Wei year, corresponding to the 16th year of the Chongzhen reign, or 1643, 1 year before the suicide of Emperor Chongzhen. Huang Tsung-yen was 28 years old and residing at White Cloud Manor at the time. 7 years later, he fled for his life and sought refuge in the same manor. Huang Tsung-yen offered this inkstone as a gift to Mr. He Jian. Who is He Jian? It is hard to identify. Since ancient time, there have been innumerable men and women with the same Zi or Hao who live in the same era. We may conjecture, but cannot be certain. Searching through the biographical dictionary of Chinese artists, there are two artists who use the Hao of He Jian. One is Chiang Shih-chieh, one is Zhang Hong. Chiang Shih-chieh was born in 1647, so he could not be considered. Zhang Hong was born in 1577 and passed away after 1652. If we calculate Zhang Hong's age at the time of the gift, he would be 67 years old, then long an eminent artist. Zhang Hong, Zi Jundu, Hao He Jian, native of Suzhou in Jiangsu province. According to supplement to a treasure catalogue of paintings by Han Lang of Ming dynasty, it says, Zhang Hong was proficient in painting landscape. His brushwork is comparable to that of the ancients. The hills and valleys are different and full of spirit. They are layered like a screen and painted in a manner of the Yuan masters. The surface of the stone is cracked and three-dimensional. The trees diffuse the aura of scholarly establishment. For his spontaneous brushwork of portraits, the facial expressions are fitting. When there are many, they are properly dispersed. His work, New Year Day in Suzhou, was compellingly realistic. No one can rival him. According to a record of selected paintings of the Qing dynasty by Zhang Gen, it says, Zhang Hong was accomplished in landscape painting. His work is rustic, robust, graceful, and elegant. It is desolate and far away. Scholars in Suzhou all respect him. I have seen some of his works, such as Fishermen Playing a Lute, Pine and Cypress in Spring, and they are equal to the works of the Yuan masters. He Jian is perhaps the Hao of Zhang Hong, and perhaps not. It cannot be verified. Chiang Shih-chieh carved a 7-character poem in running script around the side walls of the inkstone. The poem reads, Grapes hanging like jade beads, squirrels in groups scurry pertly. Why tuck such scholarship away? Spider's web holding the 8-battle plot, inscribed by Shih-chieh. Chiang Shih-chieh, born in 1647 and died in 1709, 字学斋, Ho, also He-jian, native of Laiyang in Shandong province, but he lived in Suzhou of Jiangsu province. He was proficient in poetry, calligraphy, and painting. His work was titled Fen Yu Chao. His father, Jiang Ts'ai, a Ming loyalist, was born in 1607 and died in 1673. He attained the Jingshi degree in the 4th year of the Chongzhen reign, 1631. He offended the emperor with his words and was banished to Xuanzhou in Anhui province. After the fall of Ming dynasty, he never received an edict from the emperor to permit him to return home. He swore to stay in the land of banishment and ordered his children to bury him in Xuanzhou. Huang Tsung-yen greatly endorsed the loyalty and resolve of Jiang Ts'ai and commented, in February of Jiasheng year, corresponding to the 17th year of the Chongzhen reign, 1644, Jiang Ts'ai was banished to guard Xuanzhou. In less than a month, capital Peking was sacked. He did not wish to ignore the emperor's command, and despite the disintegration of the Ming dynasty, he refused to return home and was buried by a pavilion named the Pavilion of Respect. The educated gentleman says this can be called the utmost ren, ren meaning compassion, and the greatest yi, yi meaning righteousness. When the country falls and the emperor dies, right and wrong, honor and humiliation are like dreams of yesterday. Mr. Jiang was stubborn and did not adapt. From the view of ordinary people, all without exception believed he was pedantic. Let us consider this under the concept of yi. The court did not issue an edict to retract the penalty of banishment. For an official to initiate his own return, can this be called compliance? Thus, for Jiang Ts'ai to die in the land of banishment, this is the only way. For him to be buried in the land of banishment, maybe it is not mandatory. However, under the concept of yi, this is the only way. Those from the past did not act carelessly. For Mr. Jiang to be buried in Xuanzhen, he finally completed his mission to guard the city. This is the meaning of greatest yi. Jiang Ts'ai was a contemporary of the brothers Huang Tsung-yen and Huang Tsung-yen. His son, Chiang Shih-chieh, belonged to the next generation. On the front and back of this inkstone, 8 squirrels were altogether carved. Shih-chieh was most likely inspired by the number 8. His last line is, spider's web holding the 8 battle plot. 8 battle plot is of course a reference to the spider's web, but it also alludes to a famed military formation invented by Zhuge Liang, 181 to 234 AD. By making such a military and historic reference, Shih-chieh was implicitly advocating the continuation of military struggle against Qing dynasty. It is not known when Shih-chieh made this inscription. One may conjecture that it was made decades after Huang Tsung-yen's carving of the inkstone in 1643. By then, the Qing dynasty was firmly established. Perusing the hall of He-jian that was carved on the inkstone, a hall identical to his own, Shih-chieh might be ever more inundated by a deep sense of history and loss when inscribing this poem. When Mei Ch'ing acquired this inkstone, he was ecstatic. He used clerical script calligraphy to write a poem composed of 7-word sentences and engraved it on the box cover. The poem reads, "An addict of inkstones I have become, searching for Duan stone to no avail. By chance I acquired a tiny plot of stone. Green flowers float like springs in spring. This stone comes from great western cave, hill water cramped and frosty cloud chilled. What distant year was the chisel stone made? Material scarce like comet and phoenix. In the middle some speckles of green. not crown, not sparrow, not mina, soft like child's skin and rich like fat, caressing it to forsake ginseng jade, writing here, sketching there in wild rapture, ink-soaked brush to shine and glow. From now, a new stone friend by my side. Poem once done, the dragon seems to roar. Inscribed by Yuan Gong, Mei Ch'ing. Personal seal incised, Mei. Mei Ch'ing, born in 1623 and died in 1697, 字远公, Huang Tsung-yen, native of Xuancheng in Anhui Province. He excelled in painting. His literary works include poetry from Tianyan Pavilion in 2 volumes, poetry of Chushan, and poetry of Mei family. In the draft history of Qing, his biography reads, Mei Ch'ing, 字Chushan, native of Xuancheng, descendant of Mei Yaocheng from the Song dynasty. He was distinct, tall, handsome, and open-minded. He was self-motivated and was known for his erudition and refinement. He attained the Juren degree in the 11th year of the Sun Tzu reign, but he failed to attain any position at the Ministry of Rites. The officials at court fought to befriend him, such as Wang Shizhen, Xu Yuanwen, who particularly admired him. His style of poetry changed a few times, and he compiled them into poetry from Tianyan Pavilion in 2 volumes. When he reached the age above 70, he published poetry from Chushan. His calligraphy emulated the style of Yan Zhenqing and Yang Ning Si. His painting is expansive and individualistic. He once painted a picture titled Mount Huang, which was a complete expression of the ever-changing sceneries of mountains and clouds. It was very much cherished by his contemporaries. This inkstone, carved by Huang Tsung-yen, bears witness to 2 generations of literary friendships and devotions in late Ming and early Qing. Huang Tsung-yen presented the inkstone as a gift to his friend. At that time, he was residing at White Cloud Manor, property of his intimate friend Wang Tang. A few years later, he sought refuge at the manor to save his own life. His contemporary Mei Ch'ing and the younger Chiang Shih-chieh inscribed 2 poems on the box cover and the inkstone respectively. The poem by Mei Ch'ing is a synopsis of connoisseurship, discussing the material and quality of the inkstone, as well as his personal passion. The poem by Chiang Shih-chieh even adopted the ideological tone of his father, Jiang Cai, that of a Ming loyalist. Although the year Shih-chieh was born, the emperor had already committed suicide 3 years earlier. Today, Emperor Chongzhen had passed away for more than 380 years. The glory of Ming dynasty has been completely entrusted to the legacy of martyrs and loyalists. All traces are far away. Human and government affairs have become mostly peripheral, except for the memory of the righteous spirit that once filled their world. Lying in swamps of blood, dwelling in deserted caves, enduring hunger and cold, weeping for the Ming capital, suffering illnesses and handicaps, bearing the ravages of old age, all the scourges of adversity cannot swerve their course. A chance encounter of an inkstone unexpectedly reveals that the Ming, so dearly guarded by past martyrs and loyalists, has long been transformed into haloed light that drizzled into the true hearts of men and women.